The distress signal, the stars were silent. But silence often hid fear in the deep black of space. A message pulsed weakly across the void. It was a distress call, broken and faint. Like the voice of someone drowning, the Veyari, a fragile species known for their gentle culture and crystalline cities, were under attack. A predator fleet had torn through their defenses. Ships burning in orbit, colonies falling one by one. Their council sent the same message on every channel, begging for aid, but no one answered. The Galaxy Council dismissed it. Many races were afraid of the predators. Others simply did not care. The Veyari were seen as weak, not worth risking fleets or resources. Their cries echoed into the emptiness, until they reached a place no one expected. On the edge of known space, far beyond the safe routes, a signal was caught by a patrol ship. It was human, battered from its last mission, yet still operational. The crew listened. The words were hard to make out, but the terror was clear. Humans knew that kind of fear. They had lived it on their own world, a death world where every day was a fight against the planet itself. Storms, beasts, disease, and endless struggle. That struggle had shaped them, made them tougher than most species in the stars. The captain of the patrol did not hesitate. He recorded the signal, sent it to the command council on Earth, and whispered under his breath, "They need us." The council meeting was quick. Some argued that humans should not interfere, but others remembered the unspoken rule of humanity. When someone cried for help, humans answered. From hidden shipyards orbiting Earth's moons, the dreadnoughts stirred, massive machines of steel and fire. Built in secret after decades of conflict, they were unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Warships forged in the mindset of survivors, carrying the spirit of a death world inside them. As the first dreadnought prepared to launch, its engines glowing like suns, a message was sent back to the Veyari. Short and simple. "Your call has been heard. Hold on." "We are coming!" The predators had no idea what awaited them. They thought the Veyari would fall quietly. They thought the galaxy would remain silent. They did not know that humanity had entered the field. And when humanity entered, silence ended. The first arrival, the Veyari homeworld, was dying. Their skies glowed with fire. Predator warships hung above like vultures. Their bombardments never stopped. Cities turned into ruins and families fled into caves, praying for a miracle that no one believed would come. Inside the Predator flagship, commanders laughed. They had crushed dozens of weak races before. This was no different. They had no reason to expect resistance after all. Who would risk everything for such a fragile species? But then, the silence broke. A faint ripple appeared at the edge of the system. Sensors screamed. A single human dreadnought slipped out of faster-than-light travel, enormous, dark, and bristling with weapons. It moved slowly, like a mountain drifting through space. The predators sneered at first, one ship against many. But as they studied it, unease spread. The dreadnought was built for war. Its armor thick, its design strange, its energy readings unlike anything they had seen. On the bridge of the human vessel, Captain Rayner stood tall, his voice steady as he gave the order. "Activate full shields, weapons live." Broadcast wide band, a message thundered across every channel. Human words translated into dozens of tongues. "To the Predator fleet, this system is under human protection. Leave now or face consequences you cannot imagine." The Predators howled with laughter. But their laughter faltered when the dreadnought opened fire. Plasma cannons lit the void, a storm of light and fury tearing through the first Predator cruiser. The blast split it apart like paper, debris scattering across space. Then a second shot, another Predator ship gone. The Veyari, hiding in their bunkers, looked up at the night sky and saw explosions far above. For the first time in weeks, they felt hope. The Predator admiral snarled, ordering his fleet to focus fire. Dozens of ships turned their guns on the lone dreadnought. Beams of energy and missiles rained against its shields. The human vessel shook, but it did not fall. Its armor groaned but held firm. "They're actually holding," one Veyari officer whispered in disbelief as she listened to intercepted comms. One ship against all of them, and still, the dreadnought advanced, its railguns fired. Kinetic rounds screaming at speeds near light, tearing through shields, piercing hulls. Predator ships cracked and burned. Every volley was precise, merciless, unstoppable. Fear began to spread among the Predators. They had expected an easy victory. Now they saw something different, something terrifying. Deathworlders. The word moved like poison through their ranks. Every race knew what humans were. Survivors of the most dangerous planet in charted space. Their ships were not just machines. They were extensions of that survival. Brutal, efficient, unyielding. The Predator Admiral's confidence wavered. He realized too late that he had underestimated the newcomers. And then, without warning, more human signals appeared on long-range scans. One dreadnought had come first, but it was not alone. Space rippled again, and 3 more human behemoths tore into real space, their silhouettes vast against the stars. The Predator fleet hesitated. A silence stretched across the void. Then the human commander sent a second message, calm and cold. You were warned. The battle that followed was chaos. Predator ships tried to scatter, but the dreadnoughts hunted them down with relentless precision. Every shot, every maneuver, every strike was like a death sentence. In less than an hour, the Predator fleet was broken. Shattered wrecks drifted in the black, and the survivors fled into the shadows of uncharted space, carrying only fear with them on the surface of the Veyari homeworld. The people emerged from their shelters. They looked up and saw human ships holding the skies, not as conquerors but as guardians for the first time. The Veyari realized they were not alone, and the galaxy realized something far more dangerous. When humans answered a call for help, they did not whisper. They roared. The meeting. The smoke of battle still lingered in orbit when the first Veyari Council ship rose from the surface. Its hull scorched, its engines weak, but its crew filled with new courage. They had to see the humans with their own eyes. The dreadnoughts formed a silent wall in space, enormous shadows against the stars, their guns still hot from battle. Every alien officer who saw them whispered the same thought. These are not ships. These are monsters made of steel. The Veyari Council ship approached carefully, its captain unsure of human customs. He sent a signal. This is Council Vessel Talus, requesting audience inside the human flagship. Captain Rayner listened, his voice calm. Permission granted. Prepare for docking. The moment was tense. Veyari were known for their delicate nature, their frames tall and thin, their skin glowing faintly like crystal. They had always avoided war, and now they stepped into the belly of a war machine built by a species raised on conflict. When the Veyari delegation walked onto the dreadnought bridge, silence fell. They expected brutality. They expected harshness. But what they saw shocked them. The humans stood tall, scarred by life, their eyes sharp. Their uniforms plain, but there was no arrogance. Only discipline, only focus. You came for us, the Veyari leader said softly, her voice trembling. No one else would. But you came, Captain Rayner nodded, his expression steady. A call for help cannot be ignored. The Veyari delegation exchanged glances. They had heard stories of humans. The Council of Worlds often mocked them, called them reckless, called them dangerous, even unstable. But now, standing here, they saw something different, a fire that was both terrifying and comforting. The council leader bowed, an act rare for her kind. We owe you our survival. But Rayner shook his head. No, survival you will earn yourselves. What we gave you was time. Those words settled like a weight, and the Veyari realized the humans were not here to rule them, nor to replace their fleets, but to remind them of their own strength. In the background, human officers shared glances. They had seen this before. Humanity stepping into battles others had abandoned. Humanity taking the risks no one else dared. It was not for glory, not for conquest, but for something simple, something old. Because humans could not watch the weak fall, later that cycle, the dreadnought fleet began repairs in orbit. The predators had retreated, but scouts reported they were gathering again. Stronger, angrier, the Veyari Council begged the humans to stay, their voices thick with desperation. If you leave, they will return, and we will not survive a second time. Rayner listened, his eyes narrowing. Then we prepare together. We will not hold this line for you. We will hold it with you. And so began the first joint defense drills between humans and Veyari. Awkward at first, but slowly finding rhythm. Veyari engineers, once masters only of art and crystal shaping, learned from human technicians how to harden shields, how to reinforce hulls, how to channel weapons. Human Marines trained Veyari defense forces, pushing them beyond fear. teaching them not just how to fight, but why to fight. For the first time in their history, the Vayari learned war, not from predators, but from protectors. Yet in the shadows of the galaxy, news spread. Rumors whispered through trade lanes and council halls. Humans had sent dreadnoughts. They had moved against the predators. And if humans could rise so quickly for strangers, what would they do for their own? In distant chambers, other species debated in fear. The Deathworlders are uniting others. What happens if they no longer need us, but on the Vayari homeworld, none of that mattered. Their people looked up at the sky and saw something they had not seen in generations. Hope guarded by steel, and somewhere beyond the stars, the Predator Admiral vowed revenge. His pride burned, his fleet humiliated, his voice a growl across the void. Next time, we will bring everything, and we will see if these humans can still stand. But the humans were already preparing, and preparation was what they did best. The Predator's return. The stars trembled as new signals poured across the void. The Predators were coming back, not with a raiding force, not with scattered cruisers, but with an armada. Hundreds of ships poured into the system, their engines burning red, their weapons charged. The Predator Admiral sat on his throne of iron, rage carved across his face. No human ship will leave this place alive on the Vayari homeworld. Alarms rang, the sky filled with fear again. Families rushed into shelters, their eyes lifted toward the black horizon of space. But this time, something was different. They were not helpless because above their world, human dreadnoughts already waited, 5 of them vast and silent, holding formation like sentinels carved from the dark. Their hulls gleamed with scars of the last battle, yet their weapons glowed hotter than ever. On the flagship, Captain Rayner stood before his crew, his voice calm but sharp. "They will come with everything. We will answer with everything." The Vayari commander beside him, once a scholar, now stood in armor. His hands trembling, but his voice steady. "My people are ready. We will fight with you." The Predator Armada entered range, their ships spreading like a swarm of locusts. Missiles launched in waves, energy beams streaked across the void. The sky itself looked aflame, and then the humans answered. Railguns screamed, plasma cannons roared, nuclear fire lit the void. One Predator battleship exploded instantly, another crippled before it could even fire again. The dreadnoughts unleashed storms of power that cut through the swarm like blades through water, yet the Predators did not falter. They pressed harder, overwhelming with numbers. Wave after wave crashing against the human line. "Shields holding at 70%, a human officer reported. "Sparks raining from his console. Keep firing," Rayner ordered, his eyes never leaving the stars. The Vayari fleet, though small, surged forward in support. Their new weapons, modified with human designs, fired beams brighter than ever before. They were no longer just prey hiding in shadows. They were defenders standing shoulder to shoulder. The Predator Admiral snarled as his ships fell, but he pushed more into the fight, ordering suicide runs, desperate charges. Anything to break the human wall. One Predator cruiser slammed into a dreadnought, its hull tearing apart in a blaze. Alarms blared, but the dreadnought's armor held. Its guns still fired, its engines still burned. Vayari soldiers watching from their cities gasped, whispers spreading across shelters. "They cannot be broken. They will not fall." For hours, the battle raged. Space itself seemed to bleed fire. Dreadnoughts tore apart ships by the dozens, but still the Predators came, endless, furious, unyielding, and then the humans unleashed their final weapon. From the lead dreadnought, hatches opened, releasing swarms of smaller crafts, Deathworlder gunboats designed for close-range destruction. They darted through the chaos like wolves among sheep, tearing Predator frigates apart, planting charges on cruisers, cutting the swarm into pieces. Panic spread among the Predators. Their formation shattered. Their admiral roared orders, but it was too late. Fear had already taken root. Human voices thundered across the comms. "You came here to conquer. You will leave only in ashes." The last hour was slaughter. Predator ships trying to flee, human dreadnoughts hunting them down. Every blast a warning to the galaxy. Every wreck a reminder when the guns finally fell silent. The Predator fleet was gone, reduced to drifting metal and scattered wrecks. The Vayari world was safe. On the surface, the people emerged, and for the first time in their history, They raised banners not of sorrow but of unity. They cheered not just for survival, but for the humans who stood with them, who taught them that prey could become predators, that weakness could become strength. But in the shadows of the galaxy, others watched, the council whispered, their voices laced with fear. The humans sent dreadnoughts. They destroyed an armada. If they can do this for strangers, what will they do for themselves? And somewhere deep in unknown space, the Predator Admiral lived, scarred and furious, swearing vengeance. This is not over. This is only the beginning. But humanity was ready. They had faced worse on their own world, and they knew one truth above all: when you strike a Deathworlder, you must be prepared for the storm that follows. The wreckage of the Predator fleet drifted in silence, flames fading into the black, shattered hulls, tumbling like broken bones. The Vayari skies were finally clear, but the galaxy itself was no longer the same. In the council chambers of distant worlds, panic spread. Whispers carried from one ambassador to another. Humans unleashed dreadnoughts. Entire fleets fell before them. What if they turned that power on us? But the Vayari did not see conquerors when they looked at the humans. They saw saviors, guardians, and strange allies who came when no one else did. On the surface of their world, millions gathered in the great Crystal Plaza. The Vayari leader stood before her people, her voice strong though her hands trembled. Our children live because the humans answered. Our cities stand because they stood with us. Let us never forget this day, the crowd roared. Not in fear, but in unity, aboard the human flagship. Captain Raynor watched the ceremony on the screen, his officers silent. Some smiling, some exhausted, but all proud. A Vayari messenger stepped forward, bowing low. Our people will build monuments in your honor. Your names will be written in our history forever. Raynor shook his head, his voice quiet but firm. Do not build monuments for us, build them for yourselves. For the day you chose to fight, for the day you learned you are stronger than fear. The Vayari delegation fell silent, and in that silence respect was born. Not just gratitude, but something deeper, far beyond the celebration, in the cold reaches of uncharted space. The Predator Admiral raged, his fleet gone, his pride shattered, his claws scraping against steel. They will regret this. Humans will learn what it means to provoke us. We will return with fire enough to burn their death world. But even as he swore vengeance, he could not forget the sight of dreadnoughts tearing through his ships. He could not forget the way humans fought without hesitation, as if war was the air they breathed. Back on Earth, the human council met in secret, their faces stern. They had seen what their dreadnoughts could do, and they knew the galaxy was watching. One elder spoke softly. Today we defended strangers. Tomorrow we may need to defend ourselves. Another leaned forward. The galaxy now knows what Deathworlders are capable of. They will fear us. Some will try to use us. Others will try to destroy us. We must be ready, and so humanity made a vow, not spoken to the stars, but carried in the hearts of every soldier, every builder, every child raised under a dangerous sky. They would never ignore a call for help. They would never let predators roam free. But most of all, they would never bow. In the following cycles, the Vayari rebuilt their cities, this time with human steel woven into crystal, their ships no longer fragile but strong, carrying banners that bore two emblems, Vayari and human side by side. The Predator Empire licked its wounds, plotting revenge, but even they whispered the same truth. Humans were no longer just newcomers, no longer ignored, no longer mocked. They were Deathworlders. They were dreadnought bearers. And when they answered a cry for help, the galaxy trembled. As the dreadnought fleet prepared to depart, the Vayari stood in silent lines across their cities, watching the skies, watching the titans of steel fade into the void. One Vayari child lifted her voice, innocent but loud enough for her people to hear. They came when no one else would. They came for us, and her words echoed through the crowd, through the planet and into the stars themselves, because the truth was now written in fire and blood. When aliens called for help, humanity answered, and when humanity answered, the galaxy would never forget.